It's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in the San Gabriel Valley today, and we are joined by Anthony Duarte. He is a trustee with the Hacienda La Puente School District. I want to speak with you about your school district, and in the background I want to remind our viewers that the Hacienda section of Hacienda La Puente is a significantly Asian American, whereas the La Puente is Latino American, with decent numbers arguably that may not have documentation. And so how is that playing out with the new administration in Washington?
You know, there's been a lot of fear and anxiety in our student population. You know, kids are coming to school scared, to be quite frank.
Right.
You know, we do have a large undocumented population of both the Latino community and the Asian community.
And what's so interesting about that is there's a lot of focus on the Latino community and their lack of documentation.
Mm-hmm.
But what we know is that Asian immigration to America is quite significant, and in the coming decades will likely surpass Latino immigration. And so that's kind of just an interesting dynamic in the background.
Yeah, here in the San Gabriel Valley, the Asian immigrant population is the fastest growing population in the San Gabriel Valley, and we've had to, you know, be able to accommodate the influx of the new immigrants coming here into our district.
What's also interesting about this whole debate surrounding education schools is oftentimes the students may be documented because they were born here, but their parents may not be documented, or their grandparents, or their brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles. And how does that play out?
Correct, yeah. You have a student who's born here in the United States, who's a U.S. citizen, whose mom, dad, sometimes older brothers, older sisters may not be documented, and they're at school and they're worried that they may go home and one of their family members may not be there because they were deported.
So what do you do as a board member, as an educator? Because, look, I understand that a lot of students are exhibiting signs of anxiety, depression, fear. What do you do? Because you can't make any guarantees.
So, you know, just like we provide wraparound services for our students, because we know that if they come to school sick, they're not going to learn. If they come to school hungry, they're not going to learn. That's why we provide, you know, free breakfast and health care and stuff that we can do as a school district. Well, we know that kids who come to school in fear cannot learn. And so we're trying to provide services and resources to our school and our families. We started the Equity and Access Department in our school district to really help
but
our students.
You know, look, I think that's incredibly noble. I can argue that. But the administration is, you know, the train is leaving the station, and this administration really couldn't be clearer. I mean, they are expanding their definition of those that are deportable to include even those that are accused of a crime. You don't even need a conviction.
Yep.
And so, you know, wraparound services are fine. But if you don't even need a conviction, I mean, anyone could get plucked. Like, oh, I think that person may have, you know, stole some gum.
Yeah, you know, this administration has really more than doubled down on their policy to deport the 11 million undocumented immigrants in this country. You know, you have part of his administration saying that's, well, it's just not feasible, it's not possible, we don't have the manpower, we don't have the resources to do that. But when you have a president who's saying that that's what we're moving towards, you know, whether or not they have the capability to do it, people feel that their lives are at stake.
So let me ask you about one step that Hacienda La Puente has taken, and that's at least a declaration.
Correct. That
Hacienda La Puente is a safe school. What does that mean?
It means that we provide a safe haven for our one, it's for all students. You know, it's not just our immigrant students, our LGBT students. I mean, just recently the Trump administration has said that they are rescinding some of the transgender protections in our schools that the Obama administration had begun. You know, it's kind of mirrored in the court systems right now. But here in California, we know that we're moving forward on that, regardless of what the administration is moving forward on. But we created safe spaces for our schools. We wanted to let our students know that while they're there, they're protected. You know, not letting our students come with fear, and providing resources for their families, whether that's workshops, you know, teaming up with CHIRLA or Asians American Advancing Justice to tell parents and families what to do in case someone in their family is detained, and free resources like that.
Within that declaration, was the word sanctuary used?
I do not believe so. I believe the resolution was to create safe schools and safe havens.
And I asked you that because obviously that word is loaded. I think there are some that think that sanctuary means if you're a criminal and you're undocumented, you can come here and we're going to protect you. That's not what sanctuary means.
No.
But there's a lot of confusion around that.
Correct.
But I want to ask, how far does a school district go on this? Because again, this administration has made a lot of threats towards sanctuary cities, sanctuary jurisdictions, and they're saying they're going to start pulling federal funds.
Correct.
I don't know if you have federal funds coming.
We
from,
do. We do receive federal funds, and we're limited in the information we do have of our undocumented students. You know, in our daily interactions with the students, you know who some of your undocumented families are, especially if you're helping provide resources for some of these families, especially when they're new to the district and the community. But we keep no records of who's actually undocumented in our school districts. We don't ask because we have to service everybody. So
I understand, but the administration could pass an order which says you need to determine the documentation status of your students, and if you don't, we're going to withdraw federal funds. I mean, I don't know what the courts would say. I do know that when President Johnson was in office, he threatened school districts who didn't desegregate with federal funds, and that was upheld. So,
you know, I wouldn't put past anything past this administration.
Right.
We'll have to deal with that if that comes.
but the question becomes, sir, how far do you go with this? There are some jurisdictions that have said, if that's what it comes to, we don't want your funds. We'll just go without them. What do you think about that? I mean, does Hacienda La Puente say, you know what, we don't want your funds if you're going to make us become immigration police?
Well, I think we see the state of California really stepping up to the plate. Our legislators, our governor, saying that they're going to stand up to the Trump administration, and we're going to find ways to fund some of these programs.
Well, that's a risk. I mean, there's $105 billion coming from the federal government to the state of California.
Correct.
Obviously, a whole myriad of programs, and arguably, if they want to withhold funds, it needs to be more targeted towards law enforcement, let's say. But, you know, you could be on your own on this.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to take a hard look at that if that does ever happen. You know, it's a big what if to be able to respond to right now.
Are you starting to create contingency plans in case those funds are somehow removed? I understand it's not a lot. I think I heard $9 million out of a budget of $350 or something like that.
Yeah, we have a budget of $200 million.
Oh, okay.
$200 million, yeah. And, you know, I know we get funding for our preschools and special education and for our free and reduced meals. But, you know, we'll have to have the district take a look at how much potentially is at risk, because right now I don't have those numbers, and so I think it'd be something important to look at.
How are funding streams overall? I mean, we do know that the voters were kind in passing the Prop 30 extension in November. Governor Brown continues to be supportive of K-12 funding, although he's talking about potential deficits. And so on a broader level, is K-12 funding looking as if it's solid?
It's looking better than it was 10 years ago.
Clearly, but still, I mean, there's so much going on. Do you feel as if at least the state side, the state funding for K-12 education is solid enough that you at least can be rest assured you don't have to worry about that? You know,
we're in a better position than we were before. Is it enough funding? No, it's still not enough. We're still one of the lowest per pupil states, you know, in the country. I think we could do better at that. Being the 6th largest economy, we should be doing better than that. But we're on a track to that. We are doing a little bit better.
His name is Anthony Duarte. He is a trustee with the Hacienda La Puente School District. My name is Brad Pomerance in the San Gabriel Valley. Today, it's Local Edition. Great job, Brad. Thank you so much.
Yeah.